Hello airgun enthusiasts, Michael McEwen here again, McEwen Gun Stocks, airgunstocks.com and McEwenGunstocks.com, although I'm not really working that yet. Working on getting the FFL license and then probably move all my endeavors over to that domain. Today I'm working on a HW90. What a fantastic design gun this is. I wouldn't call it a gas ram, I call it a compressed air ram. I'm sure you all are fairly familiar with it. It's basically like a HW80, which is a spring gun, but with a small compressed air cylinder in there that gets compressed instead of a spring. I just think it's a fantastic design. I'd love to own one of these, certainly on my list. But so I just want to show you a few things about it. There's plenty of information online about how to take it apart, so I didn't want to bore you with that kind of minutia. I don't like watching those kind of videos myself. I'd rather just hear the guts of the information rather than watch somebody for a half hour twiddling his fingers. I mean, you know, on tools. So a couple of things I want to point out. One is I glass bed all my actions as soon as I get them. It's one of the first things I do. I just not even any sense shooting it until that and a few other things I like to do are done. And an example is here, these forearm mounting flanges. Because there was gap between the outside edges of this and the wood that it fits in, as these screws get cranked down, to bent these a little wider than they should be. I'm not going to try to bend these straight for risk of breaking the weld or breaking the metal. I'm just going to leave them the way they are, but I will be glass bedding this action into the wood so that it'll be a solid fit whatever angle these happen to be at currently. It's fine. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. I also see there's a scratch here. I don't know if you can pick that up or not. So I've yet to determine what part of the cocking arm is contacting that. There's also a little bit of damage here, and curiously there's pretty good divots. You probably can't see, but down in here at the bottom, oh yes, I can see them just reflecting, looking silverish. Two kind of divots have ate themselves into the metal there. They don't look like anything extraordinary or something to be worried about, but I am going to try to pay attention to what is causing that. They're almost so perfect I wondered a bit if they were machined there on purpose, but they're not blued, so I don't think so. Something is impacting the metal there. And probably nothing to do about it. It's probably found its own home, you know, at the right level, but I'm going to pay attention anyway on assembly and figure out what's going on. So right now, though, what I'm going to do is do a burnished moly tune, they call it in the airgun world. I don't know if tune's really the right word, but for lack of any other word. But I'm going to prepare the metal by burnishing moly in there. What I do is cut a piece of paper towel in half, a dowel. I'm going to tape the paper towel to the dowel. Now this is how I've already cleaned it. Cleaned it using a brake parts cleaner and the same method. First I just hose it off outside with the brake parts cleaner. But that doesn't really clean it very well, so then I do this routine and get in there. It's kind of a wide piece. I might do a smaller width next time. Let's see how this fits. Yeah, it's not very tight, but I think it'll work. Got ourselves this setup. This is Loctite. Let me get it up in the camera lens. Loctite LB8012. They call it that's metal-free, low-friction lubricant, known as Loctite Moly Paste. Part number 51048. As far as I was able to determine, maybe half a dozen years ago, we used to use the Honda Moly CV joint grease, Honda Moly 60 it was called. And that went off the market and isn't available anymore, and so I researched and I determined this to likely be, you know, you can all comment down below if you know of a better product. But at the time when I did the research, it looked like it was probably the highest moly containing grease on the market. At least it was commonly available, and it does seem to perform really well. I've been using it for, at least half a dozen years, probably 10 years now. And it works pretty good. Looks like I got a hair in there. Oh yeah, I'll rub up against that later and leave a mess on my pants. Alright, that wood is forever greased. And this is a messy job. You probably want to wear gloves, but it doesn't bother me. So other things will kill me before moly coated fingers will. So let's see. So I just get this gooped up on the end of the paper towel, and we're just going to grease the heck out of the inside of this compression tube. And then, and I am not going to take you along the arduous journey of taking it all out. So I do the same paper towel routine over and over and over and remove all the grease I can. We will still leave behind a microscopic amount of grease in the pores of the metal. Sometimes I flapper sand. I have flapper sanded the inside. There's two schools of thought on that. One is to polish the inside, makes it really smooth. The other is to do flapper sanding and leave very light honing scratch marks inside in a spiral pattern that will help hold the grease. I'm not going to do the flapper sand routine on this one. The inside of the compression chamber looks very smooth. I like how it looks. I have kind of gone away from the idea of holding any grease and scratch marks because it's just grease that's going to collect in front of the piston seal and probably do tiny little bits of detonation. And of course, I'm sure you all know that the basic concept of a dry tune like this. Now, some people, I understand, will just completely wash the inside and not use any lubrication at all. I like this burnished moly. It's worked for me for my career. I'm just going to stick with it. And I don't find any detractors online to the concept. I think it's perfectly fine. But the idea in both cases is to not have any grease being picked up by the piston seal and detonating, which will provide variable velocities. So I want to remove it all. So this is the, I guess you would consider this the burnishing part, just rubbing that grease in. Oh, there, the paper towel's starting to come apart, so that's probably the end of what I'm going to do. Yeah, look how well rubbed in that is. I'm just going to go around one more time and just really, that's probably all I'm going to get out of this paper towel, so call that done. And then set about the removal. I think I'll try folding this in thirds and make it a little thicker. Maybe next paper towel I might cut the other direction. Oh, flapper sander. You can use a dowel. A 3/8 dowel will fit in a 3/8 chucked hand drill. Cut a slot on the end of it. Stick a strip of sandpaper in that slot. Go ahead and pre-wrap it around in the direction that you're going to spin it. Stick it down in there, and then just back and forth like this while you're turning it, just like using a ball hone in an internal combustion engine cylinder. Okay, so now we're going to do this dry removal. I probably should have put another piece of tape on the outside of the paper towel. Hold that together. That's okay. And then because we're going to do this so much, I go ahead and just flip it around the other way. You can't pull it too tight because it'll just pull your tape right off. And then we get a second side here of somewhat cleanness. maybe. Kind of sticks. Yeah, the triple layer paper towel is pretty good. There we go. No, that one let go. It's okay. Look at that, we're doing good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off because I'm going to do this ad nauseum. I think I'll try folding it the other way. Get a little larger diameter. So over and over and over until the paper towel comes out pretty clean. Not going to be perfect, but the less grease left behind the better. The moly will attach in the pores of the metal, or so I understand. Basically what we're doing is removing the carrier grease. That's the stuff that could detonate. Now I'm going to lubricate the ram seals. Here's the original ones with Super Lube, this product. Now it's interesting, in fact I like this stuff so much I bought a case of it. What's interesting is on disassembly there were a variety of lubricants that have been used inside, and they were used liberally. There was so much grease. There was a black moly looking grease. There was what was likely white lithium from the way it was kind of dried out and crusty looking inside, although it might have been a white moly. I have not seen such a thing. I read online, though, reading up other articles on this gun, that apparently there is or used to be a white moly. I thought molybdenum, how do you say it? Molybdenum disulfide is a black substance. I don't know how it could be in a carrier grease that's white and stay white, but whatever. I think it was white lithium grease, a moly grease. Yeah, period. That's what I saw in there. So I'm going to just lubricate the O-rings with Super Lube, as I usually do. The compression chamber with moly. And that's it. Oh, here's an interesting thing. This is the piston seal that came out of it, imprinted with the pattern that was at the bottom of the compression tube. They machined lines at the bottom of the compression tube that direct the airflow into the exit hole. I thought that was pretty cool, but certainly damaged the seal. And then an issue with the parachute seal, where the face of the seal contacts that and takes a print, is if this guy rotates a little bit. Well, I don't know that it can. It doesn't look like it did, but certainly, well, I can't go reinstall this seal for sure because I can't line it up so it'll perfectly match that pattern. So I'm going to use, is it Nick Pope? I always forget the guy's first name in England. He does a piston conversion for Air Arms Pro Elite, which I have one of those. Because the problem with that gun is the piston seal comes off, so he remachines the piston to accept a HW90 seal. I would have rather preferred use a seal from Vortec, and I thought ahead of time to get a piston seal, but I did have this one in stock, and this is a great seal, and the point is that both Vortex and this seal have a raised lip, so the face of it can't get imprinted by the end of the compression chamber. I don't know, maybe you're losing out on a tiny bit of air getting squished out the hole, but I don't think it would be measurable in terms of velocity, frankly. So we're going to use this. We'll see how it performs. You can always mail order a different brand of seal if I don't like it. Alright, well, I'm just going to keep doing this rubbing routine for a while, and I'll check back with you all on this project if there's something interesting to show. Maybe I'll show you the glass bedding, what I'm going to do for that. Oh, which, by the way, I will show you, because, oh my goodness, the gap between the wood and the rear of the action, it's huge. There is a video on YouTube, you can look it up, of an HW90 being shot in slow motion. Well, it's shot in high speed, played back in slow motion. The language is so strange. Like, it's all about determining position, which way you want to look at it. Anyway, in that video, when the trigger's pulled, you can see the barrel actually bend a little bit from recoil. You can see the action sliding in the wood, just a lot of motion going on. That all affects accuracy, because how can you accomplish follow-through on an action that's moving around independently from the wood that you're holding onto? You could be following through on the wood, great, holding onto the stock, but if the action's doing its own thing, you have no control over that. So we will definitely be glass bedding this stock, and I'll turn the camera back on when I'm doing that. Until then, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. We'll talk to you in a bit. Okay, I thought I'd turn the camera back on and give you a little bit of an update of what I'm doing. So I lubricated the inertial piston with Super Lube, which, by the way, if you don't know, it's a silicone-like material. It's intended for high-pressure air environments. It has super lubricity. It outperforms silicone grease, which is the long-time traditional material used. I think very highly of it. But so I lubricated the O-ringed inertial piston and stuck it down inside the actual piston, and I wasn't happy with it. It was kind of sticky going down there. It didn't feel very slippery. I don't think the thing's supposed to move though. Well, anyway, I took it back out and I did a burnished moly job inside of there, and I think that'll be just fine. Hey guys, I thought I'd turn the camera back on and just report on a couple of things. One is, I haven't worked on one of these HW90s before, and as I'm working on it, I'm wondering what the heck is up with this inertial piston anyway, with its two O-rings. It fits too tightly in there to slide. The O-rings don't do anything to seal the air. That happens at this end. So I'll tell you, I think all it is it's the equivalent of a top hat. The O-rings are just to hold it snug in the tube so it doesn't rattle around. I think it could be an area for an enterprising person to try some different tuning ideas. Maybe a little heavier or lighter top hat. So anyway, the other, and please tell me in the comments section if you know differently or if I'm on the right path there. So the other thing I thought I'd share with you is, my first career was an aircraft mechanic, and I worked hydraulics, so I have some experience, although it was a long time ago now, with O-rings and packings. And I just thought I'd share with you this one trick. I mean, there's several tricks for getting O-rings into their grooves, but on inside ones, basically, if you stick it down inside, just stick it straight down in there, and then put one side in its groove, don't know if you can see, put one side in the groove, and then go around 180 degrees on the other side and pull that side up into the groove on that side, and then the rest will just pop right into place. Yep, just like that. Bada bing. I did try twice, but pretty easy. And then this gets a backing ring, and a lot of very high pressure systems. We don't usually see this on air guns despite our high pressure, but on at least aircraft high pressure systems, they usually do have a backing ring. It helps control the shape of the O-ring, I think, as it deforms under pressure. In any case, so that goes in next. And I'm just working on the reassembly here, and if I have any other interesting thought as I go along, there we go. And backing rings have a little chamfer, little angled cuts, so the angled cuts have to fit together, not the other way. So just inspect it and make sure that you did it right. And I did. If I have any other thoughts for you, I will turn the camera back on. It's just sitting here over my shoulder. I thought this was kind of cool. Here it is reassembled, only using Super Lube, and it's just super smooth. Feels really good. Obviously it's not pumped up. It's just holding what air it's got trapped in there. I think this is going to be great. We're going to put some moly on the contact surfaces of the piston and get it in the compression tube and just continue work towards reassembly. Okay, so real quick, I've applied moly. I like to rub a very thin coat of moly over the entire piston's exterior, even though most of that isn't touching any metal. As just a little bit of corrosion protection, I guess. You know, it's not goopy, it's just rubbed in there. It's not going to fly off and make a mess inside and cause us to be detonating. A little bit more liberally around these two areas that look like they are the only part that contact the inside of the compression tube, and also back here because maybe it might touch back there. And then in the slot here for the cocking arm shoe, and a wipe around the piston seal and behind the seal that I largely wiped off with paper towel because I don't want that to be rich. Just a thinnest possible film, not as burnished off as we did with the compression tube, but just a very light amount left behind. Okay, we're going to get it installed and keep pressing forward.